Hi, I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the MeetRx Success Story podcast. Today we have a special guest with us, Dr. S Nally. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's start off by asking, what was your life like prior to a meat-based diet? Were you having any health issues? Did you notice anything that maybe you wanted to improve on? Like, why did you want to go try carnivore?
You know, I have a huge number of health issues in my family. My father was a diabetic and he weighed almost 400 pounds. And I had just come out of school and out of residency, and I had gained 65 pounds in light of running triathlons and exercising for an hour a day and 2 hours a week, 2 hours on the weekends, keeping my calories under about 1,500 grams or 1,500 calories per day. And I was still gaining weight. I could not figure out why. And I was a doctor trying to figure this out. Could not understand what happened. Was exposed to a ketogenic, at that point in time, 16 years ago, a ketogenic lifestyle. And we called it low carb back then. But what I found was that what worked most effectively for me was a very much meat-based, or you would probably define it now as more carnivorous. At this point, at the time we called it low carb or keto. But so started doing that. My biggest issue was that I was progressing down the road of weight gain and type 2 diabetes. I was literally on the fence of type 2 diabetes at the time. Cholesterol was outlandishly high. Triglycerides were outlandishly high. Didn't feel well, didn't sleep well, and was very fatigued, and was trying to teach my patients how to be healthy. That was the problem.
Yeah, that is kind of hard. I hear that often, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you very first started, how did you implement the diet? What were you eating? And did you have any transitional issues?
So I told my wife, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this full bore, and it's either going to work or it's going to kill me. And so I literally got up in the morning and I would have 6 eggs and a pound of sausage for breakfast. I would have anywhere between 2 to 4 hamburger patties at lunch, and a large between 12 and 16 ounce steak at dinner. At the time, I had a little bit of leafy green salad with it as well, because I was doing a little bit of keto, but that's the only vegetable I would have is just leafy greens. And over a period of 6 months, eating close to 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, I lost 65 pounds. And it seems absent, and that's that. And so, having done that, I realized there's something to this. I need to understand the science behind it. And that was really the driver that 16 years ago got me involved in the ketogenic carnivorous world, and trying to understand the science and then how to apply that to my patients.
I appreciate that so much. I wish there was more of you out there, but it's getting better now.
It's getting better.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah. So crossing our fingers. Okay. So what would be a typical day for you? Like, just through the day, just kind of go through what you eat.
So I've been doing this for 16 years now, and I found that for me, the typical diet for me is I get up in the morning, and I will have basically some electrolytes with some water. I take some vitamins that I use in the morning, and then my first true meal is not until around noon or 1 o'clock. I'm really just not hungry until that point in time. At noon or 1 o'clock, I will either go to if I don't have, I'm in my office, and so oftentimes we'll have pharmaceutical reps come in and bring in lunch because they want to do a lunch meeting. And so I will usually have some form of a protein, whether that be meat or fish or chicken or something like that. It's usually a red meat or pork in most cases. Occasionally I'll have a little bit of leafy greens with it, but it's not very often. That portion size will be roughly probably somewhere between 10 to 16 ounces of meat. Then my dinner meat will usually be, I'm a big smoker, do a lot of smoked meats. And so we'll usually smoke something at home. I'll smoke a steak, or I'll smoke a brisket or fish or something of that nature. So usually another 10 to 16 ounces of meat. And depending on how we feel that evening, we may have a leafy green salad or not. Just depends. I borderline between carnivore and keto, back and forth, but it's all real food. It's usually, my goal is to hit somewhere around 150 grams of protein per day. That's my personal goal. Sometimes it goes up to 200 grams of protein per day, just depending on what my exercise regimen has been, but that's kind of where I'm at. So I usually do 2 meals a day. It's somewhere between 150 to 200 grams of protein, water, electrolytes, and things like that. I will do some, but I personally do some Diet Dr. Pepper. That's my caffeine fix there. So that's my one vice, is the diet soda that I'll use intermittently just to keep myself awake, because I'm not a coffee drinker. But beyond that, that's it.
Well, what about dairy? Do you include that at all?
Occasionally, I will do. My wife, when my wife makes a ketogenic treat, she'll use some heavy cream to make some of the ketogenic. Like a cheesecake or a ketogenic. She did a coconut cream pie for Thanksgiving. So that's where the dairy will come in. I use butter. So we use a lot of butter to cook with. So that's the only component of dairy, that and a little bit of heavy cream. I find that heavy, because of the subtle amount of lactose that's in the cream, I still get a little bit of an inflammatory response to it. So I limit my dairy from the cream side of things, but I don't with butter. We use a ton of butter to cook with and things of that nature, but I rarely use any cream. I use it, but it's not very often.
I love butter, so I know where you're coming from. That Kerrygold, ooh, that's so good.
Good stuff. Yep.
Okay, so I know this has been a while for you, but do you remember when you started eating more carnivorous? Did you have any issues? Did you have fatigue or digestive issues? Do you remember that at all?
So, three things specifically. Number one, I was very fatigued. Number two, I had heartburn and reflux. Number three, was low testosterone. My testosterone was actually quite low. Shifting this diet actually increased my testosterone by 250 points. So pretty dramatic in that regard. And the big concern I had was that my triglyceride levels were in the 450 range, which normally they should be under 150. And when your triglycerides are at 450 or higher, you're literally a ticking time bomb for heart disease and stroke. And that causes your cholesterol to be high. My concern was they had been that way and they were not getting better. Shifting to this dietary approach, I've over the last 16 years kept my triglycerides in the 50 to 60 range. So dropped them over 400 points.
That is huge. Okay,
Yes,
so adding to that, the last question I wanted to ask you was, after you were doing carnivore for a while, what improvements did you notice?
So my staff thinks I'm the Energizer Bunny. If you can tell, I talk about 100 miles an hour. I actually have unlimited energy. I feel I will go and go and go and go, and then when it gets to be bedtime, I collapse and I sleep really, really comfortably. And my wife says she can't even wake me up. So I'll sleep and then I wake up, and then again I'll go. The amazing thing I find is that when I'm eating this way, I never feel sluggish. I never have that after meal hangover, and I have. Your mind seems to be clearer, and I've had the patients, myself included, the sky seems to be bluer. It just is one of those things that you see.
I love that. I love that. That's kind of the way I thought about it. To me, it's like the world is more colorful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everything is so just yay, you know. So
well,
I totally
you actually we know that you feel less depressed, you feel less anxious, and you see the world in a different light. Really, literally.
I completely agree. Well, Dr. Nally, thank you so very much for joining us and sharing your story. We greatly appreciate it. And lots of people will find it very helpful. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Coach Kim. Appreciate it. And appreciate being a part of the group.
Absolutely. And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Take good care.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.